It has been a week since the Israeli incursions in southern Lebanon began. Yesterday, Israel expanded the evacuation orders for Lebanese citizens to extending up to the southern coast. To discuss this, we have with us here at the Print today Dr. Rabie Narsh, the ambassador of Lebanon to India. Thank you for joining us at the Print, sir.
Thank you so much, Keshav. You're most welcome.
Now, it's been a week, like I said, and I just want to get a sense of in the last week, we've seen, say, over 2,000 Lebanese citizens have been killed. We've seen damages. We've seen an appeal for almost $500 million in aid. So, can you just give the viewers a sense of what is happening in southern Lebanon right now, sir?
Yes, thank you. Maybe it's been a week since the brutal war has started, but it's been 70 years. It's been decades of aggression from Israel, of attacks, continuous threats from the Israeli state onto Lebanon. We've never been at peace at all because Israel has this mindset of expansion, and they believe in this twisted doctrine, religious doctrine of promised land and chosen people. This has led us to this unfortunate point that we are currently facing. So currently we are experiencing and facing a very hard situation, an all-out war, savage war raged by Israel onto Lebanon. The consequence is very devastating. It is we have more than 2,100 innocent souls perished, more than 11,000 injured, and also more than 2.1 million displaced. This has put, of course, heavy burden on Lebanon and the government of Lebanon. But we, with the help of the international community and United Nations bodies and agencies, we are managing so far and dealing with this difficult situation.
Right. And here's the question I have because this is in southern Lebanon, it's below the Litani River. So, is the Lebanese army actively participating in protecting Lebanese sovereignty there, or is it just the Hezbollah that is sort of managing the situation there?
Look, when you are when you are at war and facing occupation, popular resistance is legal. International law guarantees the right of occupied people, oppressed people, to fight their aggressor, to fight occupation. This is everywhere. This is legal everywhere, historically legal. So yes, I mean the Lebanese army. We admit that the Lebanese army is not strong enough to face Israel. Israel, with the back of the United States, with the back of West, with all these advanced weapons and munitions. And by the way, Israel is deploying on Lebanon the latest technology of weapons and of destructions, with each bomb weighing more than 2,000 pounds. They're deploying it on Lebanon. Also, internationally banned munitions like white phosphorus. So, like I said, we admit that we cannot face the West and the United States and Israel. That's why, I mean, we resort to a popular resistance.
No, I understand that. And that brings me to this idea of Hezbollah, political organization in Lebanon, part of previous governments, armed militia to some, terrorist organization to others. Complicated sort of understanding of this organization. But here's my question. Since, say, the middle of September, we saw first the electronic pager attacks, which over 3,000 Lebanese were injured. Doctors, nurses, Hezbollah fighters, you have a wide range of people. Then you have Hassan Nasrallah, the long term leader, being assassinated. Then, about 3 days ago, the new leadership is presumed to be dead after another heavy strike in Beirut. So, can you give us a sense of what is the status of the organization today? You know?
Yes, very good question. Let's but first remember, Keshav, that Hezbollah was only born after the invasion of Lebanon by Israel in 1982. Before 1982, Hezbollah did not exist. But still, then Israel always continued to violate the border of Lebanon, the airspace of Lebanon, and to attack Lebanon. So Hezbollah is a reaction of the Israeli aggression. In 1985, Hezbollah was formally born or established. But before that, there was Israeli occupation, and by the way, there was also Lebanese resistance. So the Lebanese resistance dated way back before Hezbollah was born. Hezbollah is not the only resistance group, even currently, but maybe the strongest resistance group currently working in Lebanon. Hezbollah is Lebanese. Its members are Lebanese. They are a political party, as you know, and you rightly said, they are represented in the government, represented in the parliament, and in the administration. So when it comes to the framework of domestic politics in Lebanon, they function by the established rules of the Lebanese political system. But at the same time, they are resistance group. So maybe this is the debatable issue. They are resistance group and they are political party. Uh, it's not a secret that the government of Lebanon have some issues or at least some dialogue with Hezbollah when it comes to their regional role. But when it comes to defending the Lebanese border, then Hezbollah comes under the umbrella of Lebanon, entire Lebanon's resistance to the Israeli aggression.
Right. But I mean, so I understand that in the larger sense, but today, after the sort of last month worth of setbacks,
Yeah.
how is Hezbollah functioning today?
True.
Right?
You rightly mentioned the pagers attack and assassinating the leader, the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. I here remember what Gandhi ji said. He said, "You can kill a revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution." So, if a resistance group, the head of resistance group, is eliminated, this doesn't mean the end of resistance. So, our resistance will keep on going, whether with Hezbollah or other resistance group. The Lebanese people will not allow Israel to occupy our land again. We will fight against any occupation to our land. Back to your question, I'm not very, expert in Hezbollah's modus operandi. You know, they have their own system of work. They are as resistance group. They do have their own operation system. But I at least I know that when it comes to resistance, they are always there. Uh, they said Hassan Nasrallah before he was assassinated said that yes, the Pages attack was heavy. They suffered heavy losses. And by the way, the Pages attack is not like the advent or the invention of Israel. You know, they applied it, but at the same time, I read reports that even the U.S. They consider using it in Afghanistan, but then again they refrained and they did not apply this horrific terror attack because they were afraid that many civilians might be killed. And this is what actually happened in Lebanon. You rightly said that many nurses and doctors and social workers were killed. So this is purely terrorist attack.
Right. And now we come to this, when you talk about armed resistance, there's also the UN Security Council Resolution 1701. And I think this is very important to understand because south of the Litani River is supposed to be a zone where Hezbollah or any armed groups outside of the Lebanese army and the UN mission in Lebanon cannot operate up to the blue line. So it's about 35 kilometers. But then we've seen since it came in August 2006, we've seen Hezbollah continue to operate there. I remember I read a report by the UN Secretary General last year, which said that the UN mission in Lebanon, the peacekeepers, had 489 anti rocket operations in the region, right, to prevent Hezbollah's rockets. But then we've seen since 8th October last year, almost 2,000 incidents of missile fire from southern Lebanon to Israel,
True.
which is what Israel is using for this escalation. So, can you give us a sense of, firstly, how the Lebanese government viewed UN Security Council Resolution 1701? And secondly, how was Hezbollah, which was supposed to be disarmed in this specific place, was allowed to operate with its weaponry? Right? Can you give us a sense of that?
Sure. 1701 was issued in 2006 after another brutal war by Israel on Lebanon. 1701 stipulates that it's not the disarming of Hezbollah, but like you said, the not functioning or the preventing of functioning of any armed group from the South Litani. We here through ThePrint, we say that as government of Lebanon, we are ready to apply to implement 1701 by all its items, exactly by all its items. But at the same time, you said that Hezbollah has violated 1701 through the rocket launching and whatever. But then again, Israel has started with breaching 1701, violating 1701 since its issuing. Soon after the 1701 was issued, we have been every day, almost on daily basis, and they are documented by complaints from Lebanon to the United Nations against Israel. There have been continuous breachings of the 1701 by Israel. So to regard and to honor a resolution by the United Nations, it needs all parties to regard this resolution, which Israel did not do, never. So the 1701, again, I say, the government of Lebanon has announced many times, and hereby I am again announcing that we are ready to implement 1701 fully.
Right. And there's a follow-up question to that, because the same UN Secretary General's report, and this was, I think, for the period of February to June 2023, just before, he said, in that report, he said that there were 24 incidents of projectile launches from southern Lebanon, all of it from southern Lebanon towards Israel, and 3 airstrikes by Israel on Hamas, or what Israel called on Hamas centers in southern Lebanon, in response. But the UN report very clearly shows that the southern projectiles were from Hezbollah first, and then you had the
True, I
airstrikes.
said. I mean,
So my point is, I understand there are breaches on both sides, but it's the sense is that how did the Lebanese government allow the breaches if it wanted to implement it, and if it implemented it and Israel still continued to breach it? That's a different argument, right?
yeah, true.
That's a different
But
sense. But so, how do you then view this?
true. I mean, I've never said that it was respected from our side, Hezbollah, at all. But when a resolution is breached and you are under attack from a superpower, a regional superpower, as they claim to be, then you have the right to resist. I mean, of course, you cannot stay silent when you are under attack every day. Yes, maybe there were some rocket launching from Lebanon or at many incidents, as you mentioned. But then again, we have to look at the other side and who started the violation. Of course, who has the more power, he should be held more responsible. And this the international community say, and we always say that we need the United Nations should have more how can I say forceful means to force Israel to abide by all United Nations resolutions. And by the way, the irony is that Israel itself is created by a United Nations resolution, and it is the country that has disregarded most of the United Nations resolution. Is the first country in the world. So this is an irony, and we are here. Unfortunately, we are facing this devastating situation in the Middle East area because Israel has not been held accountable for its war crimes, for its aggression, for its encroaching into its neighbors' land.
Fair. And this brings me to this sense of India, because India has ties with a lot of countries in West Asia: Israel, Iran, UAE,
True.
right? In the last week, has there been a sense of any conversations between Lebanon and India? Has there been any sense of India stepping up with offers of humanitarian aid? What is the role that you've seen so
True.
far from India in the last week?
Our channel of conversation with our Indian friends has always been open, and yes, of course, I am personally in contact with our Indian officials friends officials in the Ministry of External Affairs, and yes, even without asking, India proposed humanitarian aid to Lebanon, and currently we are preparing for some medicine supply. Medical supplies and medicines to be sent to Lebanon. So yes, India is investing in peace, and they are playing an important role in de-escalating the situation in West Asia. And we encourage them, and we call upon them to put more efforts, particularly on Netanyahu and his war mindset government, his racist government, to put an end to this devastating war.
So that brings me to sort of the sense of my last question here. Lebanon has struggled to sort of form a government in the last 2 years. We still have an interim government. How has this last week's invasions, the degradation of Hezbollah's leadership, sort of impacted the local domestic government formation in Lebanon?
Of course, it has. It has affected the Lebanese life and social life, political life deeply. Anyone would put the country in shambles and in chaos. So yes, we are facing very hard times with, like I said, the displacement of more than 1,200,000 Lebanese displaced from their homes. Plus, of course, we have to always take into regards the 2 million Syrian refugees whom we are hosting in Lebanon. So the situation is very dire and critical. The government is trying their best to handle this situation with the help of friends like India, with the help of United Nations and United Nation bodies, UNHCR. Everyone is doing their utmost efforts to abate and to ease the situation in Lebanon, to make it better.
But has there been any sort of movement on the final formulation of a full government? Has there been any sort of that kind of change within the
Yeah,
domestic
Lebanon is
scenario?
always open, as you know. I know
Yeah.
you read a lot about the Lebanese political system. Lebanon is always a volatile country. It's a vibrant country with many political directions, with more than 18 different religious sects, with different opinions, orientations. Everyone in Lebanon is opinionated. So yes, I mean it is somehow vibrant, like I said, but then again, when it comes to the strategic outlook, the strategic idea and vision of the future of Lebanon, yes, there is a consensus on how to manage and how to run the country. The cabinet, there's always some dialogue between different political parties, because before the war there were some big steps towards electing a new president and establishing a fully fledged cabinet. So yes, I mean the attempts are always there, but now the war would maybe put a halt on these efforts, because there are priorities to deal with the affected people.
Right. I have one final question here because I was watching the interview of the Lebanese foreign minister who was in Washington, D.C. last week. And he mentioned that a day before Nasrallah was killed in an airstrike, he had agreed to a 21-day ceasefire, which was a French proposal.
True.
Uh, can you tell us a little bit about this, about the talks for the ceasefire that happened before he was killed, and whether such talks are continuing at this moment?
Yes, as our foreign minister said, that there were some kind of draft agreement mediated by the French and the American, and it was almost agreed by all parties, even by Israel. But unfortunately, it turned out that this ostensible agreement, acceptance of Israeli acceptance of this agreement, was part of a plot to assassinate Hassan Nasrallah. So Netanyahu was at the United Nations delivering speech, and from there he delivered his orders or comments to assassinate Hassan Nasrallah. So yes, it's all about the war mindset of Israel. Israel doesn't want the peace to prevail in the region. They have, like I said, this sinister agenda, this biblical myths of controlling the Middle East to establish greater Israel. This is wrong, and this is dangerous, and this has to stop.
Right. Thank you, Your Excellency. That was my final question. Thank you for joining us here at the print.
I thank you, Keshav. You're always welcome. Thank you.